There we go. I think we're all set. Welcome, everybody, for May 10th, 2 p.m. Eastern. Welcome to our Ask the Doc call with our good news doctor, Dr. Mark DeBrinket, our VP of Clinical Strategies. It's always a pleasure to have Dr. Mark here on the call. It's a great pleasure to have everyone on here as well. We're grateful that everybody comes up. We've got some interesting questions here that we're going to give our good news doctor today to go through. And so, as always, it's my pleasure to introduce my good friend, our amazing Dr. Mark DeBrinket. Dr. Mark, great to have you here once again. I'm calling from up at the lodge here in the middle of wilderness, so there might be a little bit of a delay here. I'm just going to get you to unmute if you can.
Good morning. How's it going, Terry?
It's going fantastic. Yeah, we're up here doing a little bit of work here. We got COVID lockdown, like in Ontario and Quebec and so on, but nevertheless, we made it here and we're getting some work done and feel very, very grateful for the fact that I can get on and do these calls from the Great White North, so to speak. So welcome, Dr. Mark. It's great to have you here. And thank you, everybody, for jumping on and joining today. Dr. Mark, maybe what we could do, because I see there's a lot of new faces on here today, is maybe we could start off today with just a little recap sort of your story, how you came across Vox and what brought you to look further and get more involved with Vox Life as a company with this technology.
Sure, happy to. So, oh gosh, I guess it was a little over 4 years ago now that one of my patients actually introduced me to this amazing company. I specialize in brain mapping and neurofeedback and biofeedback, and I deal with a lot of extreme cases that pretty much the medical profession has plateaued with, and they don't really know how to help people further than that. And so along that journey, I've been introduced to a lot of amazing products and technologies throughout that course that have really helped. Maybe everybody can mute themselves if they're not muted. Hearing a lot of back chatter. Thanks.
There, I got it all there.
And so I was given a pair of socks and told that I'm supposed to give these to all my patients because they're brain socks. And because I'm a brain doctor and deal with brain injuries, it just made sense that I should have been introduced to these products. But unfortunately, that was right after the company first began, and we didn't have a lot of material to educate me on really what would qualify them as a brain sock. I've heard the word socks before, and I've heard the word brain a whole bunch of times, but never really had them in the same sentence. And so I wore them. I played pickleball. I wore them riding my bike. Doing some sports, and I didn't quite know at the time if I was feeling it different or not. So had a little healthy bit of skepticism, in there. And then, the individuals that shared that with me were very persistent in trying to see if I tried them out yet and what I thought. And I wasn't disabled anymore. I didn't have any pain, so I didn't really know what to look for. So I figured, let me just run downstairs real quick and brain map myself, put the socks on, map myself again, and then let everybody know that these are not brain socks. And in the midst of that, I realized, oh my goodness, they literally changed my brain 48%. I would have been impressed with 5%. So needless to say, I stumbled upon something that was super profound, that in the world of neurology and trying to give people abilities back, I can't imagine not having this tool after I've had it now for 4 years and have just helped people heal and overcome their injuries and such at such an extraordinary rate, much faster than ever predicted or even expected for that matter. So it's been an amazing journey. Once I realized what it did for me, I immediately grabbed about a dozen patients and tried to see if I could reproduce that. And sure enough, I did. And then I met Jay and Dolly Wall, he's the owner of the company, and tried to share with him what he might not know these are actually doing. And of course he knew. He's just been trying to figure out a way that he could share it with the world and let everybody else know exactly what it was. And so that started this amazing journey. Now we're well over 7,000 brain maps in, comparing people with and without the technology on. We published a couple studies up to this point, and now we've expanded our product line. We have over 6 products now that have different ways of hacking into your nervous system and enhancing your ability to function and to experience life through your nervous system. So, like I said, it's just been an amazing journey. In the process of all of that, we've realized that literally every single person you put these on are going to have significant changes in their brain. And in somebody that does really aggressive neurofeedback to help grow new tissue in the brain, this is a product that will do that on a slow basis, but consistently all the time, as long as you wear the product 24/7. Now, we've also just completed a 3-year study earlier at the beginning of this year, where I've tracked over a couple dozen people for the last 3 years, brain mapping them regularly at about 8 month to a year intervals. And what we have seen has just been exactly what I expected to see. The longer you wear the tech, the faster and the healthier your brain will return to homeostasis, which is ideal neurological function of our brain to be able to adapt to our environment and continue to grow and learn and experience a better quality of life through our nervous system, of course.
Yeah, now, Dr. Mark, a lot of people that may be on this call may be unaware of your history and the phenomenal recovery that you and, of course, Christy, your wife, had to go through from a tragic car accident. And the struggles of ongoing pain and recovery are, you know, pretty traumatic things in one's life. And so, how has you, on a personal level, having dealt with what you dealt with before knowing about Vox, having to deal with the pain of being in a near-death car accident, and for any of you that ever get the chance to hear Dr. Mark's complete story, I mean, by God's grace, him and his wife are here with us today. Um, yeah, there's the vehicle there. Um, just an incredible story that has touched so many of us with regards to how close they both came to losing their lives in this tragic accident. But by God's grace and His hand, He brought you back through a lot of trial. And how has this technology helped you maintain a certain quality of life, dealing with the effects of some of your injuries from this tragic event?
So, my injuries were pretty intense. I snapped my pelvis in half, front and back. I ripped the muscles off both of my legs. I lost a third of my intestines, damaged my spine in 11 areas of my spine. And so, as you mentioned, it was a long recovery. I had some good years, and then I had some back sets. We've had some good surgeries, had some bad surgeries. Found a bunch of things that helped me find that next breakthrough, and certainly found a bunch of things that didn't work, and we had to just say next and move on to that. But about 7 years ago, I did get my legs back, my arms back. I got my pain level gone, and was able to actually start paying it forward and teaching other people how to not lose hope and how to overcome and conquer that next breakthrough of yours. Now, since I've had this technology in the last 4 years, several things. First of all, it's helped me just achieve a better quality of life myself, because I know exactly, I'm very in tune with myself. I know exactly where my limitations are. And after being introduced to all the Vox products, I've been able to break through so many of those limitations and truly experience a normal quality of life again, where I can ride my mountain bike and my dirt bikes, and I can snow ski, and I can golf. I can do all these amazing things that I never would have guessed I could ever do. I would have bet my life that I would never been able to do again. And it just keeps allowing me to reach that peak performance, that peak state of health that allows me to overcome anything, including new injuries. I still get injured because I play sports pretty hard, and I've been able to overcome and maintain, this homeostasis, not only just with my physical body, my balance and stability, and pain levels, but my sleep. Because of this technology, I have much more consistent, great quality sleep. My immune system is much more heightened and much stronger and adapts very quickly. I know that it keeps my blood clean, it keeps my attitude good. And then, of course, like our ESmarter sleeve, I can't imagine, going through, so since I've had that eSmarter sleeve, it's like I can get twice the amount done in half the time. It just keeps me super efficient, keeps me on track. And then with my athlete, being a golfer and such, I just can stay on target, and I can do exactly what I'm trying to tell my body to do, when it comes to playing sports as well, too. So, it's just been such an intricate part of our lives for the last 4 years. I've only taken the socks, the HPT technology off of me, I think maybe 3 or 4 days in the last 4 years, because those were days I was doing clinical studies on one of the other products. And so I had to wear nothing for 24 hours before I could do the other studies. So, and I didn't even like having to do that. So, once you've seen your own neurology, you've seen your brain with and without it, it's hard to bring yourself to ever live without it. It's like when we find such amazing tools that can enhance our ability to overcome, whether it's a illness or an injury, or a deficit in our lives neurologically. It allows us to immediately tap into this healing power inside of us and be so much more efficient and more robust. And we see people just healing and getting better so much quicker. On top of, people that are into the athletic world, they're breaking all their own levels all the time. The level, the
Right.
score you made last month, you can do a better score this month because you've got the tech on you, and you're constantly pushing yourself to that next limit. So I don't know if I just talked in circles around that question, or if
No, it's a great question. I think it's important. I think it's important, especially for the new people here, to understand, what you've been through. And it's not always easy to talk to practitioners and doctors about our technology when you're not necessarily a doctor or whatever. And like we all do here, is we're sharing something that's amazing, no different than your patient did with you, but didn't necessarily have to get you know. The medical jargon down per se. And to have somebody of your character, I mean, I know you play hard. I've been at your house a few times, and I know that we went mountain bike riding before, and you took it easy on me. But I know you go hard, and just to see that vehicle and to know what your body went through, and to know how close you and your beautiful wife Christy were to losing it, and then to come back from that amazing recovery, which is a lot of people wouldn't have ever recovered from, and then to see how much you believe in the power of putting yourself into homeostasis through our technology, and both both your physical neurology, or your physical homeostasis, or your um, gut brain connection with the Neurovac patch, but also through our HPT, and of course the sleeve itself. So maybe we'll do a quick recap, Dr. Mark, just for the new people that are on the call today. Just sort of, we'll do a quick little rundown of our 6 technologies, and then we can get into some of the questions that we have that were sent forward.
all right, give me 1 second. I can pull up a PowerPoint that I can share with everybody.
Perfect.
All right. So as you mentioned, um, we have done a lot of studies on all the products that we have. The first one being the Harmony patch. For those of you that are new, We have 7 million people wearing this product every single day. Now, it's not all the patch. It might be in the form of an insole or a knee brace or some socks. But the technology is available in multiple forms to make it very easy for you to be compliant. Next, we'll talk about the ESmarter sleeve. This targets a different part of the brain. This is more of your thinker. These are cognitive networks in the front and back of your brain. Our immune patch, the Neurovac, it's going to target the vagus connection, the thymus, the spleen. It's the immune system's reflexes and the central nervous system reactions to all of that. And then we will talk about the REM patch, which is our sleep patch. This targets the sleep centers of the brain. We're currently doing studies on the Meta patch right now. Finally, we've been waiting to get some really amazing technology to do that. As far as that goes, that'll be done when I finish it, but we've just started that this weekend. And then we have the new Boomy socks, which is elevated mind technology. And this is more for your mood. It helps enhance a good, positive, uplifting mood as well. And that is in the form of socks. Okay. And so as we look at the Harmony patch, as I mentioned, it comes in a variety of different tools that allow us to implement these into our lives in a very easy and simplistic way. The biggest thing here is just to be consistent. The longer you keep it on your body, the better it works, and the more change you're going to see neurologically sooner. So here's a published study that we did. 36% on average of more neurology in and out of the brainstem. And that's literally remarkable. 5% or more is amazing. And to have it change that much is quite amazing in and of itself. So we put brain maps on people. Here, gray would be a normal brain. Blue is too slow. Reds and yellows are too fast. So we see the slow brain wake up as soon as we put the tech on them and return back to normal. Gray is homeostasis. And then we can also see an overstimulated brain calm down and return back to normal as well. So the tech doesn't know what you need. It just opens up the brainstem, and your neurology knows exactly what you need. It always seems to go to the place where you're the weakest and help enhance that first. So when we look at this, we're talking about coherence. Coherence is how well you can share information throughout your brain. Now, the blue is not good. Blue is too slow. And so if we can't comprehend what's being said to us, that's an issue. People just assume because you were present in the room when they were speaking and you looked at them and nodded that you completely understood it. Well, if the inside of your brain looks like this, you kind of get it, but you're not really there. You're not really coherent. And so we put our tech on, and with instant, so many of these lines clear up. So the fewer the lines you see, the healthier the brain is. And so here's an opposite. This is overstimulated. This is ADD, ADHD, possibly autistic. We see tons of activity like brain on fire. This person is very distracted and very busy. A lot going on in that brain. We put this on, and within seconds, it just calms right down and they get right back in the zone. Truly amazing, amazing results. So the definition of neurofeedback is basically any input we give the body that causes a physiological change in the brain. So Vox Life is definitely neurofeedback. And then biofeedback is the same thing, but changing the body. And we know Vox Life changes the body too. So these are neurofeedback and biofeedback on a consistent basis, very inexpensively as well. So ESmarter, again, this is for focus, attention, clarity, mental stamina, and calms the brain. This is basically mindfulness made easy. And so this bypasses brainstem and goes up to higher cognitive functions. It's going to look at 10 cognitive networks that it's targeting. It can target the speed of those connections, how many nodes are recruited, the speed and flow of information, and the amount of information that's actually going through. These networks are greatly disturbed by stress, anxiety, trauma, medications, drugs, environment. So think of this like putting a booster on your antenna on the car. You can go further away from the cell tower and not lose the signal. Okay, and so that's Another amazing study that we did on that, and this one actually improves the brain a little bit more, 41% in the tune of your cognitive network. So the first product we talked about was brainstem. That means it can do anything in the brain. Past the brainstem, it's going to go to the area that is the weakest. With this one, it's going to only target the front and back of the brain. So those are the areas that we're going to see bring back to homeostasis, whether it's coherence. Obviously, this is getting you focused. And so comprehension, I would expect to get a lot better. That's amazing. No medication you could ever take could do this, just saying. You could take a medication, make you feel differently, but not necessarily function differently. All the nerves would still look the same on the inside. Anxiety network, now we see these purple dots. They are a very specific part of the brain that controls a very specific function. In this case, anxiety. All those purple dots work together and they're literally sending lines of information to every other dot in the network. When we see the lines show up blue or orange, yellow, or red, these are too fast of communications or too slow. Ideally, we'd like to see no lines, and that's exactly what happens for the anxiety network when you wear the sleeve. It takes about 20 minutes for that to kick in. Depression network, just the same thing. This is the other end of the spectrum. Too slow or too fast, it's bringing things back to homeostasis. Attention dorsal network, this is ADD. This means that this person's thinking 20 things at the same time instead of 7. It can be very distracting. This was the reason this sleeve was designed for people with ADD, to help them get focused without needing to medicate themselves to do so. Executive function is that working memory, mental flexibility, self-control. This is what allows us to be social, like actually have social skills. So I've been really blessed to travel the world and meet with some amazing athletes and musicians and artists and gamers, and do brain maps on them, put the sleeve on, show the results. They've given us amazing video content, and it's really enhanced and changed their lives. And that's why they like to endorse this with us, because it makes all the difference for them. So you can learn more about that at ESmarter.com. Now, the next one is Neurovac. So this one looks into the autonomic nervous system and targets the area of the brain that controls your blood. So your blood can be lack of function in a lot of different ways. Bacteria can affect the cells, free radicals can make them look like bottle caps, or just they can get sick and they can stick together where now they can't get to the smallest vessels, and they're certainly not bringing oxygen and nutrients into the cell. So with this technology, the Neurovacs, we see the blood open up and heal itself within as quick as an hour and as long as 24 hours. And so this was originally designed to help people with vaccines or chemotherapy to try to protect their nervous system if they, in fact, decided that they wanted to do one of those procedures, to give them that little better edge. But for the most part, this is an immune system regulator. This keeps our immune system strong and astute. Here we have a baseline, we have 1 hour, and we have 12 hours. With this study, we did blood draw and brain maps at the hour, 12 hours, and 24-hour mark. And we saw the coherence in the brain. This clears up the information coming from the gut so that you can actually know what's going on. And then all of these areas are regulating your immune response. So people that wear that patch are going to find a better functioning optimal blood system. That's super huge because life is in the blood. And they'll return to an optimized physiological homeostasis in a very short period of time. Now, our REM patch, it's targeting our sleep centers of the brain. Sleep is so important. This is how we remodel and we rebuild not only our body, but our brain as well. So the different stages of sleep, our light sleep is consisting of about half our night's sleep. This is where a lot of memories and emotions are processed. Our deep sleep, you're just dead to the world. You're hard to wake up. Your body is in repair mode at this point. 75% of all the cells that are laid down in a single day happen during just that 1.5 hours of deep sleep that you're going to get in a night. And it should be about 10 to 25% of your overall night's sleep. Your REM sleep is all about the brain. So if the deep sleep's about the body, REM is about the brain. This is when your dreaming happens. You regulate your memories. You clear your brain of a bunch of unneeded memories that you just don't pay any attention to anymore. They're not necessary. This is about 25% of your night. So we did studies on this too. We did the map 30 minutes later after you put the REM patch on, mapped again. We see the brain return to green. This is green is normal now. The reds are too fast, the blues are too slow. Red in the back is going to keep you up thinking all night long. It's called ruminating. So coherence is again how we know if you're actually going to get into your delta sleep. Delta is your deep sleep. Okay. And so when you have more lines here, the less deep sleep you're going to get into. So we see that when you put the patch on, it clears up a lot of that chaos that's going on. If the delta is for your deep sleep, then the theta is going to be for your REM sleep. And again, we see so many of these lines clear up within a 30-minute window. Information flow, too much information going on in your brain, you just can't turn your brain off. I want to go to sleep. I don't want to keep thinking about these things, but you find yourself repeating it over and over again until you put the patch on. Then it helps turn your brain off. So default mode, this is running all the networks at night while you're remodeling and healing and sleeping. The blue is always more concerning for us having blue lines because that's slowing down or not talking. Where we see here in 30 minutes, most of those blues woke up, a lot fewer lines are present, and the body's going to get the light sleep done much better. So we're seeing an average of people going from like 40 minutes of deep sleep to 2 hours and 23 minutes of deep sleep. And then from about an hour and 10 of REM to an hour and 25 of REM. So you're basically going to improve your REM and your deep sleep in possibly the same amount of time every night. So you're still getting the same hours of sleep. Your quality of sleep just becomes much better. So better quality sleep equals a better day. You feel better, you look better, you're going to go do better, right? So let me stop the share for the screen. The last two that we had, as I mentioned, is the metabolic patch. This is to help us lose weight, called the Meta Patch, and then we have the new elevated mind technology socks that are made from recycled water bottles, and we plant a tree somewhere in the world for every pair that you purchase. So that's it. That's a quick overview. You can absolutely wear all the products at the same time. They're not going to interfere with each other whatsoever. The socks and the insoles, that's going to be the most important one. That opens up the front gate to the brain, and it's going to go wherever else you need it. If you wear one of the other products that goes to that same area that the socks were already in, the socks will leave that area of the brain and go find the next best area once the other technologies take over. So all 5 of the other technologies have a very specific part of the brain that they're going to go to, and they're not going to go anywhere else. You know, they go there and that's their job, and they're going to stay there, target that area and enhance the function of that area and keep it in a state of homeostasis, which is super important when it comes to our health and how quickly we can respond to the threats that are harming us, you know, and the injuries that we have and how fast we can heal and how fast we can react.
That's great, Dr. Mark. Thank you so much for that. One of the things we talk about is with our technology is tech, and there's sort of a broad question here from a chiropractor with his acupuncture, and how can we sort of best talk about sort of the differences and maybe the similarities between what our technology does based on touch and the difference between that and acupuncture?
Well, I can't really say one's going to replace the other. Okay, they're both very valid and very unique in and of their way. But when you take a step back and think about, you know, acupuncture, you have 914 points on the body that are surfaced at the skin, and when you stimulate those areas, you're going to get the body to respond neurologically. It's going to open up pathways, it's going to open up meridians, it's going to help organs communicate better through the central nervous system. It's going to help bring you back to homeostasis. And so that is the goal of acupuncture, is to bring that body from a state of chaos back to homeostasis and let it heal from inside out. And so in essence, we're doing that but we're doing it with different technologies that are targeting a very specific part of the brain, where acupuncture can target any part of the body to do any type of homeostasis depending on what is the health crisis. And so I would say it is very safe to say that if I was going to have an acupuncture treatment, I most certainly would put my Vox technology on first so that I'm already at a great state of homeostasis. And then that physician is going to be able to take me far deeper and faster to what he's or she is finding to be able to help my health issue. And so it's not just acupuncture, it can be any type of therapy, any type of physician. If you have our tech on that's opening up the brainstem, my body is going to respond better to your therapy and to your treatment than it would without. Yes, it'll still respond, sure. But when I can return myself to a state of homeostasis, so quickly, it 100% will make whatever therapy and whatever thing I'm doing to try to bring health into my body, it'll help me achieve that in a faster, more efficient way.
Great. So I'm going to actually word it the way he worded to me. He says, if the socks use acupuncture slash pressure points to trigger a response and cause an effect in the body, then should the socks not have a left and a right sock? These points would not correlate if I switched the sock to the other foot. Just a thought based on my acupuncture training.
So we're not dealing with acupuncture points. So that might be the misconception right there. We are dealing with dermatomes. And so the body can be mapped out with certain dermatomes, which means that region of skin or anything below the skin, meaning muscle, bone, organs, and so forth, are going to be inevitably connected to the nervous system that connects to that level of the spine. Dermatomes are each level of the spine has a pattern on the body that those nerves coming out of the spine are controlling. And so there are certain dermatomes and certain reflex points or reflex areas, especially the ball of the foot, where you can literally address any organ or system in the body through pressure. And so we're tapping into that area with a pattern that has redundancy in it. And so that pattern, that signal is not just one signal. You have dozens of the signal overlapping in there. So if the sock does turn a little bit or shift a little bit, you're still picking up the code. Okay. And so that code is thoroughly embedded in there in a way that makes it super easy for you to see. And so with all of our patches, with the sleeve, with the different products that we have, it is important that you wear it in the correct area where you're taught to wear it the first time you wear it for the first 24 to 48 hours. That is so that it's a clear pathway right to the brain through that dermatome, and it's tactile. So it's touching mechanoreceptors and proprioceptors in a certain way that's eliciting a signal. That signal becomes actionable, which means it's not just information going through the brain, it's an important signal that gets hung up immediately, like, wait, whoa, what's this going on here? Oh, this is important. Wow, let me decode that. Oh, that's really important. That's going to help me. Let me imprint that back into the nervous system. Now, once it's in there, you've learned it. You can then put that technology at other places on your body, patch wise, and have the exact same effect after your nervous system has learned it. So there's not a right and a left. You only need one sock, in essence, to target the brain stem. Okay. And so um, I don't know if that helped answer that question, but we're not
I think
dealing with rights and lefts. We're dealing with a specific signal. And once
mhm.
that signal is interpreted and imprinted back into the nervous system, I could put that anywhere on my body and be like, oh, there it is, yay, it's back, and immediately know what to do with it.
Yeah, no, I think that was possibly the confusion comparing what our product does based on dermatomes and mechanoreceptors as opposed to acupuncture points. So I think
Yes.
that will clear up. That question came from a doctor of Edna Kerrigan that she knew we didn't get to that on the last call. So Promised I wanted to make sure that we touch base on it. You also mentioned there, which is a great question, because we have a question from Carla Matthews. It says, for people who don't like to wear socks to bed, but don't want to use the patches, would they still receive the benefits of the technology if they only wear one sock at night?
Yeah, definitely. You don't need two. Two is just being redundant. We've done studies with people, with several people, where we did just the patch, Brainmap. We took the patch off, did just the socks, took the socks off, did just the insoles, and then started putting combinations of the three until we had all three. And every single map's data 100% overlapped after the first piece was put on. So for most people, putting more tech on isn't going to do anything different than the first piece, meaning the first sock. Now, over the years, I have found that there's some exceptions to that rule. And that is if you've had an injury in part of your body and your tech is needing to travel through that injured area, you're going to get more out of the tech if you could avoid the injured area. Okay. And so, and that's kind of logical thinking, but we've proven it neurologically as well, too.
Perfect. One of the things that we uh, always talk about, Doc, is the fact that, our technology, we don't claim to treat, diagnose, or cure any pathology per se. And I do get a fair number of questions with regards to disease, a number of things. So I think we should touch base a little bit just on the care and the compliancy of our products and talking about disease, because we get a lot of things about, somebody's got myeloma, and we know that if they wear the Neurovac patch, it helps the blood. What can we expect to see on the next blood test with a doctor is one question. Another one, just to name a few here, is somebody has been wearing the HPT and Neurovacs constantly 24/7 for over a year now with great results. 6 weeks ago, they did get the Pfizer vaccine, and they are in their late 70s, and he has severe COPD. We just can't afford to take any chances. My question is, does one mitigate the beneficial impact of the other? Example, is the Vox Life, is it Vox Life versus the vaccine, or will they work together to complement each other? Now, that may be a question that's difficult to answer in one
I would
shot
rather
because
not be answering questions about vaccines until somebody can prove to me what the vaccine's actually doing. Okay, and let's just leave it
Yeah,
at that, because right now it's not curing the virus. It's not allowing anybody to not need a mask or to not need social distancing. And so I don't quite understand that whole mentality, but that's okay. Let's go back to the question about, will it help this condition and that condition and this disease and that disease, and and all of that stuff. So I think this is not the first time that you've heard from whatever other companies you've ever been involved with that you can never name a condition unless you have an actual bona fide published clinical study on that condition. Otherwise, you're practicing medicine. And we're not practicing medicine, okay? None of our products are treating any conditions, period, except being human. If that's a condition, being human. All right. So we always, in every aspect of the credit, goes to the immune system. It goes to our innate intelligence, to that little helper that we have inside of us that knows how to make 65 quadrillion chemical reactions every second in the dark, needless to say. The power that made you, that created you, and that keeps you alive, did not abandon you once you were born to be victim to supplements and nutrients and drugs and medications and all this stuff in order to survive. It keeps you alive 100% of the time. Now we can feed it and we can help give it the resources that it needs to do its job, or we cannot. If we don't do that, we can't make resources out of thin air. So you're going to create an inferior version of yourself as you go on with your life. So to the true health, to truly find what it is that I can do to be the best version of myself, I'm not thinking about my conditions. People hold on to their conditions like it's a badge of honor. Just let it go. It's a thing that you're going through now or a thing that you went through in the past. Like me in my wheelchair. People told me like, "Oh, this chair thing is just a thing. You're going to shed this thing and you're going to go on and you're going to inspire people and teach." And I would look at them like, "Who are you to think that this isn't the permanent thing for me?" That's crazy talk.
Mm,
But yet here it
yeah.
is. I shed the chair and now I'm doing exactly that. So don't hold on to your conditions. It's just a thing. And it's not that important. Okay. Learn about it by all means so that you can overcome it. But it's just a thing. Focus on the things that help your body thrive, that help you heal faster, that give you the ability to overcome all odds of recovery, whether it's illness or injury. That is what it's all about. And if we can find tools like this that literally give us superpowers and allow us to overcome the interference that created by all the chemicals and the nonsense and the stress and the things that we get bombarded with all the time, we're going to be exposed to things that interfere with our nervous system more and more now than ever before because there's just too much stuff being bombarded with us every day, and we're tied to these phones and things that make us have instant responses because nobody can wait for anything anymore, and we put ourselves in this environment of just chaos all the time. So when we find products like this that can literally tap into it, give us permission to relax a little bit, to calm down, to understand what's actually coming in, to allow us to function better. If we're functioning better, we're feeling better. If we're feeling better, we're looking better. And if we're looking better, we're going to go do more and we're going to do better. We can help people in our path when we're feeling good and looking good. And so this is what it's about. It's about helping us tap into that inner healer to allow us to be the best potential that we ever could possibly be. And that's not going to happen by default. You have to actively be seeking things like this out in your life if you want to try to operate at a higher level of energy. If you want to operate at a higher level of efficiency, of neurology, all of these things are here for the taking. And we have six amazing tools that can literally slap it on your body. And then all of a sudden, you have become a better version of yourself immediately. And the longer you keep it on, the better version of yourself is going to be the longer you live.
Perfect. One of the questions we have here is because I've heard it said so many times that our products, our HPT, our socks insoles, put our brain into homeostasis, which is balance. I've heard physiological homeostasis through the Neurovac patch. Can you ask Dr. Mark if he could give us an explanation of what physiological homeostasis actually means?
Sure. So when we think of neurological, we think of our neurology. So we're thinking nerves in your body. So if you're in pain, it's a nerve thing. Typically, that's more of a neurological reaction. Physiological, I want you to think blood. Okay, that's your physiology. Your physiology is the ability for you to move blood around and bring hormones and neurotransmitters and nutrients and oxygen into the tissues and organs and glands that you need them in order to build that next version of the cell, in order to keep that tissue viable and healthy. So, our physiology, think of it as the chemistry. It's the water in your body, it's the blood in your body, it's all the fluids that are moving through your body. And our blood is one of the first things that can show proof of lack of function. Blood sticks together, like we showed you in some of those slides, or it breaks apart. And so it's either way, the blood doesn't function well. I can't get the nutrients that I need to the cells. We have 65,000 miles of blood vessels wrapped up inside of you that are delivering to the tissue. That's the important ones that are delivering and releasing oxygen and nutrients and stuff. And so that's our physiology. And so when people have illness or different chronic conditions, the physiology is off. Okay, the blood's off. It's got inflammation markers. It's got too many white blood cells trying to heal the damage. It's got platelets. It's got all sorts of anti or oxidants happening going on in the blood as well too. So we need our immune system, which is the vagus nerve connection to our gut. It's our thymus, our spleen, our hypothalamus. We need all of these things connected to be able to have a sharper, faster response when the blood becomes physiologically unstable, right? And so homeostasis is, hey, if the pH gets too high, we're going to lower it. If it gets too low, we're going to raise it. The blood's pH and the physiology, it is so important that it has to stay within a tenth of that pH range, or you can't carry oxygen and you will go into a diabetic coma and die. And so our blood is not going to let yourself, let that pH vary. Okay. The rest of your body's tissue will, but your blood won't. And so if you're eating things that are making you acidic, you got to strip that calcium from your bones to keep that blood buffered. And so that whole process is our immune response in neural reflexes to keep our immune system sharp, to identify the things that come in that aren't supposed to be there immediately so it can deal with them, it can deposit them, it can flush them back out of the system before it runs around causing havoc and damaging vital tissue in our bodies. So the like I said before, with the Neurovacs, when I first started studying that, this was an immune system booster. If I'm flying on a plane, I'm being around a bunch of strangers, I'm going to a big crowd of people, I just want to make sure my immune system is strong. But after seeing so many healthy people's blood still not look like it's functioning healthy, and we're not talking about pathologies and conditions, we're talking about function. To see the Neurovacs turn that function around so fast, I immediately decided that this is not an immune system booster. This is an immune system regulator just as much as it's a booster. And because of that, I'm keeping this thing on 24/7. So it's been over a year now that I've had it on my body every single day because I want my body to be optimized. I want my health to be optimized. I want my blood to be most efficient. And if the blood's sticking together, you're not going to get it into those smallest vessels. We have vessels that go down to 4 microns thick. You can fit 200 of them inside one piece of hair. That is so tiny. And those 4, 5s, and 6 microns, they're smaller than a red blood cell, which is 7 microns. So if your blood's sticking together, you're never going to get it into those smallest vessels. And then your organs starve. That's the first thing that happens. And so because the tissue in the organ's not going to get enough blood to do the functioning that it needs to. So the more we can keep our blood from sticking together and from being damaged or rotting away because of infection, the more we can keep our blood healthy, the better we're going to be able to heal and the better we're going to be able to maintain our health. And that is such an important tool that we have at our disposal with no side effects whatsoever, I may add, and no contraindications. So there's not a reason why you wouldn't want to do this.
What an absolute 1-2 knockout punch between keeping your neurological wellness and your physiological wellness in balance, to allow your body to function. And we've heard Jay say a number of times that this is about how we function.
Yeah.
This is about how the body is able to function on a day-to-day basis, and having these tools is such an incredible thing. And like you, Dr. Mark, I'm the same way. I mean, between my sleeve, socks, insoles, my Neurovac patch does not leave my body ever, especially in a world that we're living in right now. I want to be in the best possible shape, immune wise, to be able to battle whatever viruses, whether it's COVID, whether it's the flu, whether it's anything. I want to be totally immune optimized so that I can battle it. It's like an athlete going into, a boxer going into a ring. If he's battled and he's trained as hard as he can to get in there, then he feels good about it. He's going to have a great chance of winning compared to somebody who didn't train near as hard for the same fight. It's incredible. Our new product with the Boomy Sock, the EMT, Elevated Mind Technology. let's just briefly touch on what you know about the elevated mind technology socks and what area of the brain they do. And then the follow-up question to that is, will wearing the insoles, which is HPT, and wearing Boomy socks, will the two different responses or patterns interfere with each other within the messaging that they're sending to the brain?
So that is a great question. And the answer is no, they're not going to necessarily interfere. So I asked Jay that question, and then he responded, well, whatever tech is closest to your foot, you got that one 100%. Now, the insole is a little bit deeper, a little bit beyond. You're going to get the insole too. It's not like it's blocking you from the insole, but it may only be 90% or 80%, depending on the person. Okay. And so it's certainly, I have insoles in all my shoes. And so I wear the Boomy socks too. I figure I'm getting at least some of the other. Okay. And so it's better if they're not overlapping by any means, but it still will work. Okay. According to that. Now, we're not really going to be talking so much with the Boomy socks about what part of the brain it's targeting. We're just going to talk about it's really the emotional sides, the emotional aspects of the brain. So your anxiety, depression, it's all your moods, okay? Your ability to control and regulate your mood. So we have about 4 or 5 different mood networks that we isolated in the study and saw a significant change over all of those. I'm going to wait to show you the study until I've shown it with Jay um, to the entire field. He's been wanting to be the one to talk about that initially. So I'm not going to show any of those slides today, other than the fact that it's your mood related ones. And so, and ironically, these socks are so comfortable. They are the softest, most comfortable socks out of all my box socks. And so, um, and it was from water bottles. That's what really just is shocking to me, that we can create that and do that. So they really are amazing. I know that these sold out super fast, like right when we got them. And so he's been holding off on me doing the presentation with him until inventory is restocked.
Yeah, supply chain in all over is difficult right now. I hear it in everything, and the steel industry, the lumber industry, whatever. So one of the things that I guess a thumbs up would be Boomy socks and HPT patches, a great combination, obviously.
Yeah.
So last question, we'll finish on this, and this is sort of along the same lines as the question we just had, but can a person receive effective results wearing one Boomy sock and one HPT sock at the same time?
100%. No problem.
Perfect.
It probably would feel weird because they're not the same design. You're going to have two different type tensions on you. But yeah, there's absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. And remember, you got like the shapewear, you got knee braces, you got other options too besides patches and socks and insoles that wouldn't interfere with your Boomy socks.
Exactly. So just to sort of cap things off, Dr. Mark, all of our technology, as you said, has no contraindications. It's drug free, it's affordable, we can wear it all at the same time. Um, when we talk about the patches, and briefly you mentioned, hey, once you wear our patches in the prescribed position based on the packaging, after the prescribed time, again, question, and I know it's been answered before, but for the new peoples, can they take the patch and wear it in a different position on their body after they've worn it in the prescribed position for future wearings, whether it's under a bathing suit or wherever? Can they do that?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, if you've worn it for the appropriate amount of time, 24, 48 hours in the correct place, you could not wear it again for 6 months and still put it anywhere on your body. You never have to go back and relearn it again once your nervous system learned it. if I drew the letter or the number 3 on your hand with your eyes closed and asked you to identify what I just wrote, you'd say a 3, maybe an M or a W, depending on how you're thinking about it. But let's just say you said a 3. Well, once you know 3, you understand that's a number. That's like above 2, less than 4. There's certain meaning to it. Well, I could write a 3 on your back or on the back of your leg, and you'd be like, 3, 3, 3 again. I could draw it anywhere on your body. And once you know 3, you'll identify 3, even if it's 20 years from now and somebody writes a 3 on you, like, 3? That's just how it is. And so your nervous system will absolutely recognize it, and you can hide it in a place that's going to be more conducive for what you're doing. Like if I'm swimming, I like to put it just behind inside my bathing suit line so that the waistband holds it in place and prevents it from falling off easier than not. Okay, so there's definitely, more convenient places for certain people at certain times. I definitely recommend always move it around from place to place. Don't just keep putting a patch back in the same area again, because the skin needs oxygen. And if it's not getting air, it's going to eventually start to get a rash or get annoyed. And so it's good to move them around. I'm going to be creating a video here soon that shows all 4 patches that we have currently and all the ways to wear them. And so that'll help make people understand that a little bit easier.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we're right almost at the hour. Dr. Mark, as always, I know there's so many people that look forward to this call, and something's changed in Zoom a bit because I tried to go live with this on the testimonials Facebook page, but I couldn't go live. It wouldn't allow me to go live on the testimonials group. It allowed me to go live on my personal page and then share it to testimonials. So I've got to figure out what's going on there. But needless to say, it doesn't hurt to share it on my own personal wall for this call either. So on behalf of everybody here, again, thank you so much for your time today. We always are very respectful of your time and appreciate your answers. And I appreciate all the people that have sent in their questions. And remember, don't forget about tonight's call, the Real People, Real Results call at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hosted by the wonderful Kevin Dugay and the lovely Krista Taylor. And we have 2 great testimonials on there tonight, stories of how our technology has improved the function and the quality of life of these 2 amazing people. And as the good news doctor would say, get this tech on you and don't take it off. Wear it 24/7 and you will see the improvements of your life. So once again, Dr. Mark, thank you very much for being on the call, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Cheers, brother.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, bye for now.